Fuck, so I don't care how old you are. I don't. Nice fish. Another dock bass. I was introduced to fishing from my dad and two uncles on my mom's side. My dad was no great fisherman. He was a great man that exposed me to the outdoors, a very good upland game hunter, but a terrible fisherman. On the other hand, I had two uncles, and on the other hand, I had two uncles from my mother's side that were fantastic fishermen, and they exposed me to the sport and took me out and made sure that my rod got bent and I got a tug at the end of the line, and that's what really inspired me to keep on and pursuing fishing. It was my time in the boat with them. My relationship with Northland Tackle started really the year I started guiding. I knew what products that I fished with. I knew which products that I liked. And when I started as a fishing guide, I wrote a letter to Northland Fish and Tackle, letting them know that I was pursuing my dream to become a fishing guide on Lake of the Woods. I love their tackle, and if there was any kind of a program, I basically was writing a letter trying to figure out if I could buy some tackle from them, because I knew that I had to have a whole lot of tackle for my summer. And they wrote me a letter back, and they sent me a cap, and it was a very, very welcoming letter that I got back from John Peterson. And John, subsequently at the end of the season, I had taken pictures, and I made copies of those pictures and sent them back to Bemidji, Minnesota, and sent them to John Peterson. And that's where the correspondence really started. Was I started using their product, I started sending them some pictures, they liked the pictures, they sent me more product. Pretty soon I didn't have to pay for a jig. Life got a lot better. If I've got any extra time, it really depends on the time of year. Of course, wintertime, I am most likely I'm either on a panfish or a walleye bite. I live on Leech Lake in Walker, Minnesota, so I spend a lot of time walleye fishing. We've got some phenomenal walleye fishing there. And if it's spring or fall, that's probably what I'm doing. I'm walleye fishing. Or if it's early morning, late evening, maybe the thunder, there's some clouds in the air, and then maybe it's a little bit humid in August and it's a little sticky, I might have a big musky lure in my hand. But at the same time, I absolutely have become almost obsessed with bass fishing, in particular smallmouth bass fishing. Partially because it has exploded all across North America. I mean, there's more smallmouth in more places than I think there's ever been before, and they're big, and they're relatively easy to catch. I really enjoy an afternoon of bass fishing, and right now I think. More often than not, during more days in the summer, you'll probably find me doing a little bit more bass fishing than anything. But you know what? I can get talked into sturgeon fishing. I can get talked into going saltwater fishing, because it's probably going to help me catch more fish when I get back home. When it comes to fishing heroes, I've got a lot of them. I mean, it's real easy to look and the guys that broke the path before me. I think Gary Roach is probably number one, between Gary Roach, Al Linder, John Peterson, Dwayne Peterson, all those guys that, in particularly, I've got an enormous amount of respect for the early eras of anglers that broke down barriers and did things that had never been done before. The guys that set out and created the national walleye circuits that had never been done before. The Jim Kalkofens, the Alan Ron Linder, and having to not only create something new, they had to develop it from scratch and make it up on the fly. Those guys, and people like Gary Roach, for instance, that had the wherewithal to figure out, the first guy that I was ever aware of that actually could make a living that evolved from a guide, right, to a full-time professional, tournament and promotional angler. That was a big deal for me to say, hey, you know what, this can be done, and you can make this work for you. That's all part of the deal. I mean, part of making a living fishing and turning a dream into reality is being okay with where the road takes you. You can't have any preconceived ideas that, the only way this is going to work for me is if I can make XYZ dollar amount and I can live in this house and live this way and do it this way. For me, the fishing industry has been just an absolutely wonderful journey, because I've just kind of evolved with it as opportunities have opened up. And I've never said, I don't want to do that, or that doesn't, that's not who I am. You kind of go through different phases. As long as you keep becoming a better angler, that's been a big goal of mine. Whatever I do, if it can help me become a better fisherman and I can turn it into an opportunity, I'm going to do so.
Hi, I'm Bill Linder. Join us on next week's program, and we're going to give you a few tips on how to take better still photography for your outdoor activities. Join us then.